Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. You are watching a battle for Zendikar. No, that's not it. Zendikar Rising, best of three traditional draft on MTG Arena with Travis, Semulin Hours, and chat. Chat, say hello to YouTube. YouTube, as you know, it's pretty difficult to get me to want to go green in this format, but opening up a cute swarm is a really good way to start. Yeah, 3-mana 1/1s are great. Let's get cute. Now, I'm not saying we're going to go Golgari. Like, the chances that we get past a really good rare for the Golgari archetype are pretty slim. But if we did, we might just go for it, I guess. I'm guessing they took a... What uncommon do you take over this? I could see an argument for taking Thundering Rebuke over this. I think I could see an argument for taking Roost over this. Maybe. I've passed Roost. Crab for the memes? Okay, yeah, maybe. Well, let's check. Is it actually the Mana League next to us? No, okay. Because, like, if it's actually John next to us, then I know what he took. You're not on Mage over Rebuke? I mean, I am, but I could see where some other people might not be. Well, yeah, I think I could make a case for Rebuke over Mage. It's cheaper, and it consistently kills more things. Yeah, there's times where I'm wary of a dual first color pick, too. Now, I could strongly consider this Ondu Inversion here. It's a very good card, but I feel like with Grakmaw, Cute Swarm, and a Blood Beckoning, we've got the start of a very powerful deck. So this is the part where it's asking me to commit versus continue to stay open, but if it's these two cards, I don't want to stay open. I want to get my first Blood Beckoning. The Veteran's quite good too, but it's kind of just an arbitrarily large thing, which we may not need, because it's possible we could make 5/5s for less mana. Like if we had a Moss-Pit Skellington, just as an example. Spark Mage is very good. Are the Zendikar queues long with Kaladesh Remastered? They're not. There's plenty of people playing both. It's great. Yeah, the Skellington's great. I think yeah, okay. Sorry, YouTube. Huh, like, I was going to give you, like, conversation and decisions, but we're just drafting the good Golgari cards. Yeah, this is a premium card for this archetype. The only thing we have that doesn't really fit is the Cute Swarm, and it's really more of a 5-drop than a 3-drop, but, like, it's still good. It's still very good. It's kind of automatic drafting at this point, although there are some decisions to be made. And this is one of them. I actively want access to a Zendikar. Generally speaking, I've been very happy to have one of these, at least in the sideboard, sometimes in the main deck. Reclaim the Waste leaves us open to a splash if we would like to do that. I don't think any of the rest of this is something we'd really consider playing. We know at least 2 people aren't Golgari, or at least are probably not Golgari, but we do need to fill this out with a few removal spells. We're going to probably need to open them because not many people draft, or not many people pass solid removal spells in black. And we need to keep our eyes open for cards that care about counters. So Scythe Cat's pretty high on our list. The second Blood Beckoning is pretty high on my list too, because like that's all I need. And I don't really need these. We're not going for a party mechanic currently. We will take some party creatures, but ideally they're the 2-mana warriors. Well, I think yes, in this case it's just very obviously open and being shoved on us. You be playing any Commander Legends draft? I will not. I don't particularly like Commander. I also don't have Magic Online installed. There's nothing wrong with Commander, but it's just not a game for me. I think if there wasn't a pandemic and all of my friends lived next door, I would be playing Commander Legends Draft. But I don't know how we get Dave and Tommy over here, for example, for that. Like, that strikes me as where it would be fun. Okay, I guess we take 2 Zendikars. I don't really want a kite sail either. Broken Wings, come on in. That is a very late binding, but also not for me. Yeah, all I've seen on Twitter is people complaining about Commander Legends. But again, somebody out there thinks it's the best thing ever, and that's fine. Have fun with it. This is not our destiny. I'd like it to be our destiny, but it's not our destiny. It does remind me some of D&D, but it reminds me a lot more of Settlers of Catan, which is my least favorite board game on the planet. But I know I'd rather play Candyland, but I know a lot of people that love it. Like, if I'm going to have to use social skills like that in gaming, let's make it something like Among Us. I think this is the Gloom Hunter of Sadness. Like, this isn't what I want to be first picking, but it's the best card for us here. 8 passive mythic rares, but we should get hooked up here. Oh, this one's tough. But I need the removal more than I need the Florahedron. I really like the Florahedron, but I need this. Yeah, I think I played Settlers of Catan once and hated it and was like, I'm never playing this again by choice. Yeah, I think the argument is that we could conceive of passing it there, because Rabid Bite usually goes late, but I can't afford the gamble. This one's an interesting one between the Vine Gecko and the Scythe Cat. Both are quite good. I don't have a lot of kicker spells, but the ones I do have would be very nice to have the Gecko in play when I kick them. And I also need to make sure that we have a reasonable amount of 2-drops. I think I'm going to go with the Gecko with the idea that I can probably spin another. I can get 1 Scythe Cat, and I probably want 1 Scythe Cat. If we get 2, I'll play them. If I had like 3 Gnarlrids, I don't know that I'd make that pick, but I don't. This pack kind of stinky. I undervalue this a little bit. I'm going to take 1, but I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to play it. Vanquish the Weak is 100% going in our deck. Come on in. Ooh, I really like Disciple. I like Disciple a lot when I have 2 Blood Beckonings. Yoinks! The Cleric is pretty good in this deck, but I think I need the Survivor more, which makes me a little sad. I'd like to be taking the Cleric, but I need the 2-drops, and it doesn't look like I'm going to get Gnarlrids for them. Subtle Strike is quite playable here. Yeah, and this is a great way to get it out from under enchantments, too. Nothing wrong with the adventure, the aesthetic. It's also, again, something I like with Blood Beckoning if the game goes very long. Getting Gragmaw out from under an enchantment would be a pretty big deal, too. Like, that's one of the ways to answer. Like, if you Capture Sphere this, because it's not Capture Sphere, what is it? Bubble Snare? If you Bubble Snare this, or Pacify it, it's one of the ways to answer it cleanly. And then just sacrificing it later is pretty huge value. I think I would play 3 Blood Beckonings in this deck currently. I think Tormenting Voice has been in nearly every set, hasn't it? Yes, I'm putting it in the 5 column because that's usually when I want to play it. Not that I can't play it in other spots, but yeah, it's definitely in this set and no one ever plays it. I guess somebody's getting a super light Geezer Mage. Have fun with that. I don't think I've played a Tormenting Voice in this set yet. Ooh, okay. I want the Acquisitions Expert too, but the Sproutling is kind of more important here. Well, Blood Beckoning is an interesting card because people either underrate it or overrate it, which means it's difficult to figure out where to take it. I've seen tables where I can get 4 of them, and other tables where I don't even see one. But there's an obvious combo with the Sproutling and the Blood Beckoning. It's another card with Kicker to make the Gecko a little bit better. And then there's other things we could get back to. So I think it's a pretty easy Sproutling. I think we can shore up the early game with the Bright Blade quite nicely. There's some consideration to take the Valakut Awakening with the idea that I could then splash a late Royal Eruption, if we get one, with that and the Reclaim the Waste and have some value in the deck. But I don't think I need it. I want to make sure my early game is shored up. And Bright Blade, again, plays quite nicely with Blood Beckoning. I don't think I want any of this, but I'll happily play 2 Aesthetics. Like, we can work with that. I'll certainly play 2 Disciples. The question is, would I rather just have a Feed the Swarm? So my removal is Vanquish the Weak. Yeah, I just need the Feed the Swarm, don't I? That kind of sucks. I want the Disciple. But time to put on the big boy pants. I end up playing this in more of these decks than I care to admit, and it's fine. It's not exciting. Fine. Yeah, we've already got 1 Broken Wings. There's a Scythe Cat. I said we wanted one. We got one. This is good news. You used to be able to wheel Hagra Constrictors, and you kind of can't anymore, which is weird to me. But if we end up playing a Marasa Brute, that's fine. I know it's unusual, John, but I do sometimes play Golgari. I don't think the Disciple will wheel. I don't think that's super realistic. I'll play 2 of these. That means the early game's all shorn up. Golgari, Golross. Oh, Narcomoeba is wonderful. That's a great idea, Ranger. Narcomoeba with literally no combos. I think I'm okay with this as the base. And then if we're playing against somebody who's less aggressive, we can consider cutting out the Nectar Pot for another aesthetic. Yeah, I don't think we noticed a snake at all. But I think this is fine, and I can just play a Zendikar. Well, maybe not. I've only got 1 spell land. Yeah, I think I just play this then. I think we passed 1 Zoff consumption. Yeah, we didn't get a beetle, but that's okay. I think the beetle is not a key piece to this. If I could trade the beetle for Gragmaw, I would. So I think we're pretty happy with where this has ended up. I do obviously need to fix the lands. It's important to express yourself in your mana base. If that's a thing for you, and it certainly is for me. Look at me expressing myself. Doesn't look like a ton of counter stuff anyway. We got a ton of counter stuff. We've got Subtle Strike, Dauntless Survivor, Gecko, Skellington, Scythe Cat, Grakmaw, Shadow Cat. It's certainly enough. I've had decks with more, but I'm not unhappy with where this is. It does show you how many lands you have if you don't split them up like that, but it still entertains me to do so. You find your joy where you can. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think I'd still play Beetle in this deck, though. But we've got the Little Beetle, which is kind of doing the job for us. This ain't pretty, but we keep it. We'd like to have a 1 or a 2. Now we just kind of want to hit lands. Meh, alright. I can trade you off. What's that land from? It's pretty. Ikoria? I like it. Yeah, I think that would be handy too, Detective. But I like splitting them up. I think where we are now, I can let these two go and plan on getting them back at some point. Because they're not really doing anything for me right this second. I liked the old lands too, Blood. But the borders on them look kind of weird. So I ended up not getting them. A little bit land screwed here, so we'll just need to be on the defensive for a bit. They did mill us 1 closer, which is, I suppose, handy. They got their thinking cap on. We have been pressured. I think though I'm not excited about making this trade, the way it's looking now, I kind of need to. If there's a combat trick or a practice tactics, let's just get it out of their hand. Maybe they're playing another combat trick and we can get them here. That'd be swell. I've seen it resolved a couple times, but not very often. I'm gonna kill the Banneret end of turn. Unless they have a combat trick here. Oh, even if they do, still dies. Because the last thing I want is for them to just plop down another land and start chonking me. We're okay here with just 1 more land. Blood Beckoning isn't even the worst. I could get back a pair of 2s and just deploy both of them next turn. Well, obviously not both of them, but enough of them. Still not the end of the world. They're playing a good bit of discard. I played this one first because this one can be better. It was so we could potentially double spell, and so we could have like a decent blocker for this. I imagine they're still going to be trying to use a final combat trick here. But it's just a matter now of us getting, deploying the cards that we have. Like one more land, we get a 5/5, their hand's empty. Pretty good, Chrono Mill. How you doing? Multiple mind drains is interesting. I hope you have a good holiday. What does this mean? They have yet another party tactics. Practice tactics here would be what? 2, 4, 6. Single shrine in the cube? Maybe. I'm kind of tempted to let them have it. Because if they don't have it here, we're far ahead. If they do, any kicker spell makes this absurd. It's a rebirth? Interesting. Peer into the Abyss and Teferi's Tutelage is an example of a bad combo. Divination into Teferi's Tutelage is an example of a good combo. At least from a limited perspective. You may be talking about other formats, which is fine. I have to start attacking here, which is not great, but if they get a wizard, we're dead. And this still leaves me with reasonable blocks. This is very dangerous. Okay. Them trading them off is actively good for us. It does mean that I'm going to end up losing my shoot swarms, which makes me kind of sad. I need to make sure this guy's dead. I can always buy them back, but this was just try to negate the pressure of that. Once that pressure's gone, we can potentially recover. Because I've still got another buyback spell. We'll hold the lands for that. See? If we hadn't made that trade and we drew this, I think you see, we would be dead right now if we hadn't made that attack. It's like chumping with 2 shoot swarms may seem stupid, but that Archpriest was going to kill us. That's not a bad idea, Dave. Well, now we just do that. Okay. I want the swarm and what else? Where the life total is right now, the aesthetic seems kind of nice. I could play swarm, land drop, and then aesthetic. They got too many discard spells for me to wait. I need to make a real attack next turn. I did want to get one of their party types gone, though. Double Mind Rot, huh? It's actually kind of terrifying. Oh, it's just being willing to chomp with the shoot swarm. Because if I couldn't either bait them into that attack or get them to block, that cleric was going to kill us. I was looking in their graveyard to decide if we wanted to keep Broken Wings, and I think we do. Taking out a pack beast at the right time could be very interesting. Oh yeah, we'll get you a Stream Raiders battle. Let's do that. That could be very interesting, as well as killing the cleric once it's given something flying, potentially. The emote is being worked on now. We will have Sim Raid soon. You cannot rush greatness. And David Lee is a great artist, so I do not intend to try to rush him. I think we got this one. Nice. Take that, Piters. Detective Scott Gunsey with the kills, Sim Wife with the assists. Scrolls for Quintus Detective, DSav, gold for Sim Wife, and Mooch. Go battle. Oop. Don't think I want to sideboard much here. The normal sideboard cards I'm interested in are things like the Zendikar, and I don't think I super need it here. I do want to keep the wings. Let me make sure this cleric does what I think. Target creature gains flying. Okay. I may need that just to dodge. I'd like a little more early game, but I think we actually have enough early game. We just didn't draw much of it there. That's right, standard beat. Hey, there's some early game. Come on, Barbie. Let's go party. This one's got tree people in it. Or as I like to call... I wonder why they called them ints instead of treeple. Seems like treeple just makes more sense. That is a line you could take. People were telling me yesterday that I underestimated that mythic. And that's probably the biggest reason. Like, you can literally pay 2 mana and discard a card on turn 2 if you'd like. The line of asserting dominance or triggering Morbid on your turn. There's a lot of reasons you might want to do that. I think I'm supposed to keep the land here. Maybe I'm just supposed to... The Skellington seems like such an easy discard. I think I'm supposed to keep the land. Because this deck can do a lot at 5 mana. And I can get the Skellington back. Later. I don't think we're killing them with the 2/1/1s, but we knew they had Mind Drains and that those were going to be pretty brutal. And they were. This is a spot where I want to vanquish the weak, but I know they have a combat trick in hand. And so I have to wait. I could get it here. I still don't need to. Okay. I guess I need to. That's how you get a 2-for-1. I knew I could get a 2-for-1 somehow out of that. They're going for speed. It is the time of need. Nice, Samoric. That's the third Mind Rot. There's a lot of Mind Rots in this deck. I still have to try to race this. I'm playing the lands because I'm trying to race the Blood Priest. As soon as they move this over, they're going to kill me. This may actually be the line. They will eventually see it, though, and that is a moment where I will be terrified. Is it them? What? All they needed to do was move the kite sail over to the Colossus, and I needed to top deck to win, right? I guess not with them at 3. Maybe there were 2 lands? Yeah, or they did it the turn before. That was the part I didn't quite understand, but they might not have had 2 blockers. They needed 1. But if they'd done it the turn before, I think I was under significantly more pressure. As it stands, that's all right. Not necessarily the scoop of shame. Sometimes mistakes are made. You don't need to be ashamed of making mistakes. Ideally, you learn from them, but we're also talking about something with relatively low consequence. It's a video game. Pretty reasonable start. Vadim, thank you for the robo-bits, man. I'll spam some cats or robots. Your choice for Vadim. Good to see you, man. I hope things are well in your world. I'd like a scoop of shame with depression sprinkles on top, please. Get a side of disappointment sauce. Dude, that'd be great. Can order the finished breakfast. And maybe a vodka and tonic of desperation. You can just check Goldfish Chrono Mill and see what they've got in at the top of the meta. I don't usually try to build, although I have had fun building decks for Standard before. I generally look at that as a fun thing to do rather than something competitive to do. If I'm going to play in a tournament, I'll just go see what's good. Yeah, same. Same, Jeff. Yeah. MTG Goldfish is great. Yeah, they've got great deck lists. This is really the last turn I can try to force in some damage, because they played this to trade here, but let's make them make the trade so that when they start bouncing things and such, it's a little less scary next turn. Hey, what's up, T? We hit the goal. It's done. 24-hour stream, buzz cut on the way. Buccaneer could be a little bit of a problem. Jeff! Thank you for the gift sub. Y'all spam some cats for Jeff. Thank you very much. Much appreciated, my friend. Yeah, that actually keeps it right where it was. It slipped down one. Thank you, Jeff. That's not a bad idea, Manaran. Let me get finished with the YouTube and we can talk about adjusting some things like that. I'm trying to keep them scared and in the mood of blocking because they're winning this game and don't know it. If I can keep them not knowing it, that's good for us. Bad news is they have discovered it. What would you want to do here? I guess bounce the token? This makes a removal spell a pretty good draw for us, which is often the case. Can't make any cuties this turn, so I'll need to play it out. Good time to have Zendikars in your size board, where we need them. I suspect this doesn't accomplish much, but we'll try it. The Zendikars do have reach. Good afternoon, Meta Nightmare. What makes green-black tick in the format? Green-black is the worst deck in the format. Its uncommon payoffs are worse than literally all of the other colors. So what makes it tick is that no one else wants to fight over it. So people will quite happily fight over blue-green kicker, or blue-red wizards, or white-black clerics, or red-black party. And so while they're all fighting over the key uncommons for those decks, no one's fighting over the key uncommons for this deck. So you'll see Moss Pit Skeletons very late. So instead of getting a medium to bad version of a premier deck, I get one of the better versions of the worst deck, and that gives me the best chance to win the most drafts. You can't force it. I tried forcing it. It's not always open. And there's times where like green-black specifically is open, but green and black aren't open, which means you can't get into it, because you'll just have a deck full of medium creatures with like an uncommon or two that matter. But generally speaking, it's a strategy for trying to metagame the draft. This is not what we needed, because I kind of have to try and race, and I'm sort of in a position where I can't. But these are the tools we have, so we use them. Good news is we were already dead. We just didn't know it. Hard you are not, Mrs. Zendikar. Huh? If you're having fun, maybe it's not wrong. Hard to argue with fun. Yeah, we're just dead in the air here, right? That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Wasn't forcing it in that set. That was drafting with bots, and they wouldn't take it. That was a little bit of a different scenario. We've got a second Broken Wings to bring in and 2 Zendikars to bring in, which should give us the tools we need to fight here. So something like the Vampire can beat it. We're not particularly interested in that. I don't even think Subtle Strike was just going to get us any 2-for-1s, which is not to say it's unplayable, just that we're not excited about it. Like, it doesn't matter is the real issue. And then we've got to make one more cut. We're at 15 creatures. I've brought in 2 Zendikars. Like, it's really nice with the Rabid Bite, but the Bright Blade isn't particularly threatening, and they're not attacking on the ground. Yeah, that's generally the way to be successful in draft, Jeff. But drafting with people is a whole new world of magical cards. Very different than back in the dark days of bot drafting. I'm glad we're not doing that anymore. Mine too. I'm very happy that we can do that now on Arena. I think if we can handle the flyers, we can probably handle this deck. Okay, this is a start. I think I play out the recovery with 2 Zendikars. Oh, I don't want to draft in person. That I don't miss. Just too much waiting. Then you've got somebody that's talking at the table. Like, I hated that. I opened a good red card. Hey, Bill, what you doing for dinner tonight? True drafter does not eat. They only draft. Drafting in person with people you know can be a great deal of fun. Drafting in person with people I don't know is typically not my jam. Plus, if I'm drafting on Arena and I need to use the bathroom, it's always clean. It's right here. There's never a line. We've got drafting at home and it's better. Yeah, not to mention the pandemic. I'm going to try to put the pressure on him here. Well, if I'm going to draft with strangers, I'd rather just do it online, because then I don't have to go anywhere. I can stream it. The bathroom's clean. There's food here. It is a good way to make new friends, which is not a bad thing, but... Yeah, you don't even have to wear pants. How great is that? Yesterday, Zach. Yesterday we hit the 800. Which blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. That's fair too, Jeff. We'll be running the Zendikar this turn. Because this turn they're most likely to have the 3/3 flyer that we know about, so we're just not going to attack with the bat. Actually, we might. Because it will kill them if they block the bat. What's up, Lola? How you be? $800 of our subscriber drive. Right now we have 708 Twitch subscribers, and for the month 93 purchases and stream raiders. I have generally enjoyed Kaladesh, but it got to be a little bit too much. Like, to make the gem printer go burr, I need to be drafting something that's not Kaladesh. Having good food at a local game store is a big deal. Thank you, Lola. I was blown away. I didn't think we'd hit it. I thought we might hit 500 by the end of the month. Maybe. But my community is incredibly generous. I still believe I have the best Twitch chat on the planet. As it turns out, I love y'all too. Thank y'all for saying so. It makes me happy and solidifies for me that this is the right path for me going forward. I intend to do more YouTube content as well as more streaming. And as I mentioned, the SimCube is already something we are working upon at this very moment. SimCube, Zach. Work on it has begun. Can you send me an email? My email's in my Twitch. I want you to look over my cube list when I get it done. So we're going to do a SimCube tournament at some point in January, probably with the Mana Leak guesting as my commentator. Viewers will be able to sign up, and we'll have a big prize in store credit for face-to-face games. We'll draft it on the Heroku app and play the games out on Arena. I'm thinking we might try 32-player draft, but we'll see. It's a lot of organization, which I haven't done before, but I think I could make it work. You know, John is not actually a vegetable. I did not know that. But I believe it. We got any kickers? Not yet. Maybe one day. I think I still want to bring the pressure here. Because you're most likely to trade that, which I think I'm fine with. It's a crawling Barons. Good lord. I don't think I noticed that before. That's terrifying. I don't know how I win from here. That's all. Speaking of things that are terrifying. Good lord. I'm in danger! Right blade is the right call here. We can start the cycle. The problem is they've got too many things in the air. I mean, it's possible they can't answer the bat in 6 turns, but I don't think that's a really solid plan. What we do have is 32 life. That's handy. This is game 2. They're up a game. I'm kind of okay with them killing this because I can just buy it back as a 3/3. So you got me with your Living Tempest. It's not that I got. It's that I'm planning on it coming back bigger, better, and stronger than before. I need to grab a soda. I'm about to thirst to death with all this talking. I'm not used to the YouTube drafts taking this long. Why don't I attack with the Bright Blade? I don't want to die to Crawling Barrens plus shenanigans, which is something that could very easily happen. An anonymous gifter. No, not an anonymous gifter. That filled in. Jeff is doing this. Jeff, thank you very much. Y'all spam some cats for Jeff. Thank you, my friend. Wow. I wasn't going to be gone that long. Thank you very much, Jeff. Jeff, anonymous. That's crazy. That puts us at 713. Thank you very much, Jeff. The loop is established, but it may still not be good enough to beat the Barons. Because the Barons is big. Just this turn. The question is, can I attack with the Vine Geeko? I don't think so yet, because they're holding up an End of the Royal. That doesn't mean they're not, just that they chose not to use it there. Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm being cautious of an Into the Royal. I believe if they had one, they would want to bounce the Sanctuary, but I'm not even convinced that's a great idea, right? Because then I can just get back the Zendikar. Like, we can grind this out. It's hard to grind out a Barons. But as long as it's ground creatures, I can probably pull it off. Now, eventually they're going to get a Tazim Royal Mage and get back the Lull Mage's domination, and that's the part where my grinding gets a little more difficult. Well, that plus stealing my rare did, I would argue. Like, those two in combination were somewhat good for them, yes. I think this is fine. You can have another turn of hitting for 4. Wish we had one taunting Arbor Mage. That would be a pretty good way to try to end this. Is their best option here to bounce the Gecko? It might be. It's not actually that bad for me. So they're at 8 minutes. I know the timer doesn't show there, but they've got 8 minutes of gameplay left before they can start doing something. We get an attack with the aesthetic this turn. Slowly. Gently. This is how you lose a game of Magic. Gnarlwood Colony's pretty good in any deck that can cast it. I don't think I've ever played it and been unhappy about it. Oh, but their clock is down to 8 minutes. Ours is at 23:25. There's nothing wrong with playing at whatever pace you're comfortable with. That kind of wrecks me to a Subtle Strike, doesn't it? Let's play around 1. Because either they've got a Subtle Strike and are going to get me, or they don't and forgot the Zendikar had reach somehow. Subtle Strike, fair. Okay, I'm tired and not thinking about Subtle Strike. General combat trick. This feels a little weird, but I think we can turn this on its head pretty quickly. Do I just want to feed the swarm here and take out another flyer? Because I can force a trade with this. This seems crazy, but I think I can actually win the game with damage from here. Yeah, same. I was thinking about just getting the Zendikar back and continuing the stall, but like this actually gives us a way to like force the game. I assume they've got a way to kill it or interact with it somehow, but you're gonna need to show it to me. We have, Yargle. We have indeed. I think they should have traded the Barons a while ago and made their Crack Maul arbitrarily large. Like, I don't have anything I can do about it. Now that I know they have the Barons, I do want the other Bright Blade, which is making this a little worse, but it does still mean that, like, this, the only thing that matters is the Flyers. And I can beat the Flyers. So we should be fine. I'm guessing what I don't need is a Nectar Pot. But somehow I didn't cut a Nectar Pot. Cut to the Nectar Pot. We got through the 4/4 flyer, a 1/4 reach, and 2 3/3 flyers, yes. And use they if you don't mind, nobody. A good habit to get into. I should have fired off our Stream Raiders battle, but apparently I'm keeping you guys hostage. Here, I can fire that off while we go through the opening turns, because you're not going to miss anything from that. You've been a hostage for 50 months? Elaborate. All right. We got usual suspects with the kills and assists, scrolls for Simwife, Bari, and Smol Disaster. And back to another raid. I never get to use my warrior anymore. Use our warrior. Sub length. Okay. Bear sack. That's not a bad kind of hostage, though, I hope. Rabid Bite took out a Florohedron. Generally speaking, Bite the Elemental is slang in Magic for a reason. Bolster the Bat is also something that is said quite often. They have less than 4 minutes to win this game. They may actually be able to do it stealing my Grakmaw. But maybe not, we'll see. I haven't gotten to play with my rare yet. Only they have. Sorry about the slow pace, YouTube, but sometimes this happens, and it is okay for people to play at whatever pace they are comfortable. Yikes. The butt clock is at 1 minute and 52 seconds for them. It may be able to pull it off. We'll see. Be frustrating if they did. So we can't pick the... This gets back creatures. As it turns out, would picking the Death Touch creature be better? Yes. I don't think we knew that at the time. But the clock is now our only option. I do have another Zendikar. Drawing that would be quite nice. No, I don't really have much left. That's a frustrating way to go. Six seconds left. I had 18 minutes and 32 seconds. But you know what? That means they got their value. They paid the same amount for that draft as me, but they got to play twice as long. Clock is a resource much like life, and if you need the time to get there, that's fine. I tend to play a little bit quicker because these days there's not really competitive draft events. I do still like to win, but it is frustrating to have somebody use all of the clock and then lose at the last second. But there you go. Sometimes it can happen. Yes, 6 isn't 0, as they say. Nice, Chrono. All right, I like the start of this. We could use a black source, obviously, but... Hey, neat. There's a lot of numbers that aren't 0. In fact, I'm pretty sure all of them but 0 aren't 0. That's kind of crazy, huh? I think we'd pretty happily make that trade. Yeah, even now. I'm just trading off everything. Yeah, trading off everything is kind of the goal with this deck, too. And then ideally we buy the best pieces back and win with those. Sure. Now that is a little different. This is a really good time for us to draw the Demon's Disciple. That is hard to trade off with, yes. Well, we need them not to draw spells or lands from here, and we've got a shot. Jeff, thank you for the gift sub, man. Much generosity today. Y'all spam some cats for Jeff. Thank you very much. Offer a bit, but one for the road. All right, bud. Have a good afternoon. I hope you enjoy it, Bert. What does that one do? That's the one that gets him back a big thing, right? That's not really ideal for us. But I don't know that we have true options here. Ha! Got him! We're getting value off of that disciple, whether you like it or not. Behold. We did it. I managed to get a valuable creature. We could have used Broken Wings to destroy the equipment. The enchantment, yes. We're also just dead to the Phylath, so like, I don't really know what we're supposed to do here. Is the deck insane, or does the deck have Phylath? And are the two synonymous? I have found Phylath to be pretty good. Now, we could have held our land drops. I think that would have been smart, too. But I'm getting a little brain dead. All right, so what is their deck without Phylath? It's mostly just stuff. I can beat stuff. I can't really outgrind Phylath, though. I have to be able to kill it shortly after they play it, which means Feed the Swarm isn't for literally anything else. I haven't noticed the queues being any longer, no. Could sort of use another aesthetic, but I think I could also get some value off of the Stomper here. And Nectar Pot is just not powerful enough for this matchup. Yeah, fair. Although there's not a whole lot of creatures that can kill it with a bite, but I think we're looking at a turn 2 Gloom Hunter to get the party started. I'm pretty happy running this out on turn 3 as well. Like, we'll eventually draw a Blood Beckoning and get it back. Oh, you said the queue's tougher, not longer. No, I haven't noticed that either. Like right before we decided to do the YouTube video, we had an absurd deck that went 3-0 relatively easily. So the fact that we're battling through this one is like, I mean, I'd prefer to just get handed free wins, but there is variance inherent in Magic. The last draft, it will surprise everyone to know, was not Golgari. It was, in fact, Red White Warriors, and it was a pretty good version of it. Left the Subtle Strike in because of them fellas. Now, I need to be a grown-up and remember to hold the lands after this for the Cute Swarm. I forgot we had one in the deck. Like, that's not likely to keep up with Phylath, but it could. And yeah, your line earlier, Eichel TV, would have been way better. That last game took so long that honestly I'm just thinking about a snack instead of the video game. Huh. Must have been a rotten hand. I don't currently need to kill any of that. Killing one of those wouldn't have super mattered there. This is where I could use some of the card advantage that we have. I may kill it now just for the freebies, because I don't think it's getting much better. I probably do need to play one land here since we've got so many, just so we could potentially Blood Beckoning into playing something relevant. Because if they've got that Might of Marasa again, we're probably just done here. Without me being able to get back 2 creatures. That's functionally Might of Marasa, right? So we will start playing some lands out. But at this point we could get... we'd probably have to take Sproutling and Aesthetic, go pretty low, and then try to recover from there. It's a lot of whiffs. But this potentially gets us back, because I can get the green kicker dude, and then use that to get back the bat. And we're still sort of playing Magic again from there. It's going to be slow, but I think that's my best bet. I'm going to take something like 8 damage from that bug catcher. Don't have a combat trick, he said, suspecting that they did. That's a great trade for us. I think we need to go ahead and Subtle Strike this now. Even though I'm not getting full value off of it, it means I'm not taking all of the damage from that. And they shouldn't be able to attack with the Bug Catcher. Like, I still wouldn't say this is a great trade for us, but like, it is what it is. Now, because I didn't play some lands out, I can't land the bat in the same turn, but that's okay. We'll get it next turn. I don't think we spew this off on anything other than Phylath, although it's worth noting that we're probably dead to Phylath anyway. What? They drew Might of Marasa? I don't think I'm beating that. This I might be able to. Do we trust one draw? And just put ourselves cold to Phylath? No, they're going to draw Phylath. My hope is that they draw it and don't have a land in hand for it. God, I can't take all this damage, though. I'm very nearly just dead. The Rabid Bite could be an answer to Phylath if we draw another Blood Beckoning. But I kind of need a Blood Beckoning just to get back in this. God, this is not what I want to be doing. But 1 is not 0. It's awful close to 0, but it's not 0. Do we have any lands left in the deck? There's 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, we could still draw even more lands. I'd really like to not do that. Is milling them our option now? Huh, it might be. I've got the loop and enough mana to maybe do something with it. That could be the bottom card on their deck. If that's our out, that's our out. It's not a good out. Huh. But it is the one that I have left. Why would you take that? I was going to use that. Fourth from the bottom because of Valakut. Unless they pitched it in the beginning, which they might have, Zach. You don't know. Okay, clearly don't need to hold that many lands. right, so there's 10. 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 2 left in the deck.
Overdue Donna.
Mr. Trivia, thank you very much. Y'all spam some cats for Armand. Thank you, my friend. Can't win at Magic. But it's okay when I get to hang out with you guys and gals. Thank you very much, my friend. Y'all spam some cats for Armand. We haven't drawn either of the Blood Beckonings, right? Yeah, I feel like if we hit a Blood Beckoning, we can get back in this, but this is probably the last turn we have to draw a non-land. As it turns out, that's not even true. We're just dead. Thank you, Armand. I appreciate it. Because that one did not go well, but that's okay. All okay. 3-0 into 1-2. Not exactly how I want to be doing in the format, but it's all right. All right. Thank you, YouTube, for slogging through. What is that, a 2-hour video? Yeah, close to it. Chat, say goodbye to YouTube. And if you would like to watch the drafts live, statistically 2-1, that's me. You can do so at www.twitch.tv/Semulin.